Hi, I'm Jeanne and I'm here from Jimmy Bean's Wool, and I want to talk to you today about my Make No Mistake scarf that I designed for Laura and for Rowan, which is going to be featured in 2011 January edition of Real Simple magazine, and we're real excited. You'll find it in the back of that magazine, again 2011 January edition, which is about to come out any day now, and you will be able to get a discount on the kit to make this wonderful scarf. I'm humble too. I really had a lot of fun designing this scarf. I got to use 4 different colors of Rowan's beautiful Lima yarn. It's just a gorgeous, wonderful yarn. Hang on a second. I have a ball of it here. It is just phenomenal. It's 50-gram balls. Really, it's 84% baby alpaca, 8% merino wool, and 8% nylon. And the way they've applied this yarn, it is really a textural experience. It's really neat to work with. So I was asked to do a nice beginning scarf, and this is what I came up with, and I call it my Make No Mistake scarf. It uses the mistake rib stitch, which I think you'll find very simple to do. And I took it a little bit further as I decided to go ahead and make the fringe as I went, which then alleviates all those problems of having to weave in like massive ends as you change colors or carry your yarn up the side. So you can see here how I used 4 different colors, and I began with one color on this side and ended up with the other color on the other side, a 4-color repeat. It's a really simple pattern. The hardest part, of course, is the cast off, because the scarf is approximately 60 inches long, and there's 243 stitches that you begin to work with. So my suggestion to you is stitch markers are your friend. Cast on 20 to 30 stitches and place a stitch marker so that you don't have to count all 243 stitches. You know, each section of 20 or 30 stitches is 20 or 30 stitches. So my goal today is to show you how to actually knit the scarf, and of course I'm not going to cast on 243 stitches for you today. So we're going to set the scarf kind of aside, and here is the pattern. You can find it on our website, and again you'll be able to get it with the kit. It's the Make No Mistake. It's on Jimmy Bean's Wool website, and I put, maybe my son is helping me film this today. He's a great videographer, and he can maybe zoom in on my little key card, because I found this right away when I first started working with multiple colors of yarn. If I took snips and set them in the sequence, you know, just taped them on my pattern in the sequence that I wanted to use them in, it really helped me remember what I needed to do as I was working along. So that's just a little tip. Use it, don't use it, whatever works for you is always my goal when I'm teaching you new things. So that's how I manage my colors. So this is the pattern that you can print out on our website in a PDF format, and again A, B, C, D is my sequence. This is how I chose to use my colors. You can go any which way that works for you. So we're going to go ahead and cast on. I'm using a long circular needle, and Chris is going to kind of guide me with my hands and tell me if I'm in frame or not.
I'm going to show you if you're in frame.
He's going to show me if I'm in frame. Yes, I like that even better. And the pattern uses a size 10 US 10 needle. I used a 32-inch needle. Oh, wonderful. Oh, Chris, that's awesome. Love it. We're actually in, we're not at Jimmy Bean's Wool today. We're in my bedroom.
And I'm sorry that the camera can't be further away to get a fuller frame. It's kind of jerky, but...
Well, there you go. We're just dealing with my knitting chair area. This is where I knit when I'm at home. And I'm going to go ahead and show you my basic cast on, which is a cable cast on. So make your slip knot as you would. Can you zoom in just a little bit, Chris? Just a little bit. Go ahead, a little more. a little bit more. There we go. Now you just take and you make a loop around over the top of the bottom. Reach through the bottom of the loop and grasp the strand of your yarn from your working ball through that loop and pull it through. And of course the knot slips, that's why they call it a slip knot. So put that onto your needle initially, and the pattern uses what we call a cable cast on. Whoops, sorry. Now I did do a video about a cable cast on our website, but this is just a little refresher course, and I'm going to kind of turn a little bit. No, we're good, thanks Chris, and show you. The first stitch you do is just like a regular knitted stitch. Whoops, I'm out of the frame now. And you pull that out and slip it around just like this. And again, you can refer to the cable cast on video for a little bit of a refresher course. But I now have 2 stitches on my needle, and the pattern repeat for the Make No Mistake scarf is 4 stitches plus 3. So we're going to cast on 7 stitches. We're going to do the least number of stitches that we can do today to demonstrate just this basic pattern for you. So I've got my 2 stitches on. Now for the cable cast on, I'm going to take my needle and go in between those stitches, metal to metal, right in between there, and knit 1 more stitch. Pull that through and around and snug it up onto my needle. I'm going to continue doing that until I have a total of 7 stitches, as I mentioned before, on my needle. Some knitters like to just knit the stitch on just like this rather than give it that little twist. One of my favorite knitters, Allison, she told me to do the twist, and that's the way I've been doing it ever since. So it's just a matter of what is knitter's choice. So 2, 4, 5, 6, up, we need 1 more. And let's see, here we go, we're doing good. You'll notice that I left a decent little tail because this little tail is going to be part of my fringe once I'm all done. And we start our pattern, which is outlined in the printed pattern, and it's a knit 2. So I'm going to go ahead and knit 2 stitches. 1, 2, purl 2, 1, 2, and this is where the mistake part comes in. It's really cool because you knit 2, continuing in your pattern, but we only have that odd number of stitches, so we purl the last stitch and we turn our work around and we continue that pattern throughout. Whoops, there we go, all over the frame. Okay, I'll slow down. So now we knit 2, but remember we're knitting that purl stitch. But before we do that, now I had my scissors here. Hang on 1 second.
Come up with some scissors.
I've got them right here. Before we do that, we're going to go ahead and snip our yarn to the length that we want our tail. Now I made about 2.5-inch fringe on my scarf, but you can do it however long you want. I had plenty of yarn to continue on and make longer fringe, so we just snip a little bit of our yarn like this. This is going to be our fringe. We take our new yarn, which is still the same color that we're working with, and we measure it out, attach it. Give me a word, Chris. Measure it, attach it. Put it together, and you do what we call an overhanded knot. And you just knot over, take both strands of your yarn, work it over, and kind of snug that up. Whoops, that didn't work out so good. Let's try that 1 more time. That's because you're watching.
Yeah, that's how it always works.
It totally is.
I know.
It's crazy.
I hate it.
It's like when you guys come in the shop and you want me to help you with your work, and as soon as I'm watching, you can't do what you want to do. Now here I am untying the knot. Okay, we're going to just cheat and leave that knot in there, but we're going to do another overhand knot, whichever way you get it. And if you just kind of, rather than snug the knot up too soon, which is really what I had done, kind of pull it up towards your needle. Naturally, because I want to do this for you, it's not going to want to do it. And you want to snug it up. Let's see here. You're going to snug it right up against that, your work here. Just like that. So now we're snugged up to our work. We've started our fringe. And what I did as I knit my scarf, my original scarf, I did leave those fringes a little bit loose. I didn't snug them up super tight because I wanted to be able to go back later and adjust them if it was required. So now we repeat the pattern. Knit 2, 1, 2, and purl 2, and then knit 2, and you always purl your last stitch, always. And I know I'm going a little bit fast, but I'm sure you guys all know how to knit and purl. And there you can sort of see, we're just at the beginning. Of course, we have one little extra bit here because that's our tail, and I will later come in and tie that in with this fringe. So now I'm ready to snip this bit of my yarn. I'm at the other end. I've done 2 rows of one color, and now I'm ready to add in my next color. So I'm going to go ahead and snip my yarn, and oh, you know what I did? I didn't even follow my sequence. What a ding-a-ling. But that's okay. This is now our new sequence, and I'm taking in the next color of my yarn, and now you can really see that beginning of that fringe. So these 2 colors are going to get tied together. Sorry, I went off the frame there. And in an overhand knot, just like that, and just kind of grasp your needle, snug them up loosely to the needle there, and you're ready to go. You're ready to knit, if you can find the other end of your long circular needle. And again, we now, what are we doing here? We're picking up our second color, and we're going to knit 2, 1, 2. We're going to purl 2, 1, 2. And then knit 2, and of course we always purl our last stitch for this make no mistake scarf. Alright, so now we've done the first row of our color change. We're going to snip that strand, and you know, there's really no reason you actually need to snip it every single time. You could probably just loop it if you wanted to and then snip it later, and then do your overhand knot again, just like this. Hopefully I'm not moving around too much. Do your overhand knot like that, and just leave it loose, kind of hold it up to your work, because you can come back later and clean that all up. And so now we pick up our second color. We do 2 rows with each color, and once you get all 4 colors done, you've done 8 rows of your scarf, and that's really cool. So now we've knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, and purl 1. So we're at the point now. Of course, if I was really truly knitting the scarf and wasn't just doing a sample little snip for you to see how to knit the scarf, I would of course change to my 3rd color and so on and so forth. But I think at this point I would like to cast this scarf off. So now I have worked my last row of my last color on my 60-inch scarf, which is really quite short. This is a little ant scarf. We're going to give this to an ant. And I've tied my fringe and I've done all my colors now. So I'm going to go ahead and cast off. And the funniest thing happened to me while I was working on this scarf. I discovered a lot of people like to cast off in pattern, and I did try that, a knit 2, purl 2 cast off. But if you do a knit 1, then purl 1, and I take my yarn to the back and do it very loosely, really, really loosely. You can see how nice and loose those stitches are. And you take the tip of your left hand needle and pull that up and over the top, and keep on going. Knit 1 now, very loosely. You're going to take that first stitch, pull it up and over the top, and then your next stitch is going to be a purl stitch, very loosely. I'm snugging that out, not up, out, loosening it up all the way over. Now a knit stitch. What I discovered was that the cast off edge laid flat instead of flopped to one direction or the other, even though I initially tried to cast off in pattern in a knit 2, purl 2. So there we go, we've cast off in a knit 1, purl 1, just like that. We have now cast off our little mini ant scarf. Of course, we pull out our little tail like this, we set our needle aside, and we snip our scarf, and we would tie this to our last, make our last little bit of fringe here, and we now have a very tiny, very short little ant scarf. Chris is going to zoom out a little bit so I can tell you any more you might need to know about this scarf. It really was, oops, I dropped it on the floor here. It really was a lot of fun. I love teaching you new techniques, new ways to do things. Easy is always the best way. I really feel this is a very easy, very basic way to introduce you to changing colors, to a nice yarn, to some fun textures, and build your knitting confidence. So here's our little ant scarf. There we go. We have fringe at both ends. The little ant. It's actually quite a large little ant. And I'm Jeanne, and I'm here today talking to you about the Make No Mistakes scarf. I didn't block this scarf. I liked the texture. You certainly could block it. In the instructions I talked about possibly steaming it lightly. But I just loved the texture of this Rowan Lima, and I really didn't want to block it out. Beautiful scarf. I'm really proud of it. I hope you enjoy working it. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions if you have them. Have a great day. Happy knitting. Thanks for watching.
Thunder rumbles on this American summer night. There's kids on the corner, stuck in a switchblade fight. And the rock and roll bands play for the girls on the beach.